how deep or shallow they are. So there's so many different variables when it comes to fishing a crankbait. So one of my crankbaits of all time is going to be a DT8, DT10, anything in the Rapala lineup. You know, these crankbaits are a balsa bait. They're great at getting reaction strikes. I consider myself a power finesse fisherman, and what that really means is I like to take techniques like cranking or drop shots or Texas rigs, finesse them down as much as they can go to maximize the amount of bites I can get. Now, obviously, I'm gonna have to risk a little bit of the landing ratio. However, I've tuned it in so much to where I am very comfortable throwing lighter line, lighter hooks, lighter tackle, smaller profiles to get those bites. It's almost bait finesse, but not quite. You know, I'm not throwing that 8-pound line. I'm still throwing 12-pound line on these crankbaits. I can stick them in very, very gnarly places like brush piles, crazy looking rock, ledges and stuff like that. I can throw it in the same exact places. I'm just getting a lot more bites than your average fisherman out there. So I'm gonna be showing y'all how to step up your game when it comes to these crankbaits. You know, I've got some recommended products, and as always, check the description, guys, for all the links to the baits and tackle that I have here. So, you know, first off, I've got two crankbaits in my hands. So these are both DT8s in the green gizzard color, and I want y'all to take a look here. I'm trying to get it to focus there. There you go. So it's focused now. And take a look at the difference between these crankbaits. So obviously, guys, the main thing that's different here are the hooks on them. You know, changing your hooks out, changing your terminal out is going to allow you to maximize the efficiency and effective use on your crankbaits. Now, obviously, getting as nitpicky as the split rings on this, it can be hit or miss sometimes. Most of the time, the split rings are totally okay. I know Randy Blaukett just did a video, and I know Randy's got some haters. I know he's got people, he's got almost like a cult following him, but he made a really great video, I thought, the other day about using different sized hooks on Texas rigs or shaky heads or something like that, of that nature. This is very similar to that, however, on a crankbait. You know, I definitely agree with him, you know, on my drop shots. I love sizing down the hook, and the points he made about throwing those bigger hooks, you know, or throwing the smaller hooks instead of the bigger hooks definitely hit home with me, because I can, as a power finesse fisherman, I definitely take that to heart. So, you know, with bigger hooks on a Texas rig, I'm gonna kind of sum up what he said. You know, with bigger hooks on a Texas rig, you're almost creating more presence in the water. You know, the hook is a metal thing sticking off a not real lure. So obviously, it's not gonna look natural to the fish, you know, especially with big, thick hooks on here. And fish also have a sixth sense. They have their lateral lines. They can feel vibrations in the water. They can feel when something's off. And when you stick some big ol' hooks hanging off a bait, you know, that kind of looks realistic. It's gonna trigger something in their mind. It's not natural. So, you know, one of my favorite things to do on a crankbait, especially these DTs, I do it on all my crankbaits most of the time, is change out the hooks. Now, which hooks do I like the most? I always generally will prefer a short shank EWG. My original favorite was this one right here. These are the Owner Stinger Trebles. They're short shank, and they have an EWG. These are the 35s here. I absolutely love these size 6s, guys. What's great about them is they have the 150 ppp. It's got a Teflon coat, and it's also made for crankbaits in the way that I guess the line tie sits perfectly in line with it to align the center, I guess the center point, perfectly down the bait. So I'm going to show you that here. I have a DT10, and I put on those Owners right here. So you can see when these, when the hook sits perfectly in line with the bait here, guys, it is going to sit flat on the bait. And that basically makes sure this bait is going evenly through the water. A lot of the times with, you know, other treble hooks out there, is it turns it just slightly. It's gonna offset, it's gonna have more weight on one side, and if you do it wrong on the other hook and you don't offset it, it's gonna make that crankbait run to the left and to the right, and you have to tune it a whole bunch. These ones are perfectly symmetrical on either side, which I really enjoy. I think you're gonna get a better hookup ratio on these hooks for a lot of reasons, and we'll get into that. So the first one, like I said, is the Owner STY 35s. These are short shank EWGs, and one of my new favorites on some of my more finesse crankbaits like the Megabass Z2s or even a DT6 or a DT8 is going to be the spear hooks by BKK, and these are EWGs as well. They come in a pack of, I believe it's 8, and that's what I like to throw on my DT8s, DT6s, Z2s, like I said, my more finesse style crankbaits. Even the IXI shad from Megabass, guys, you can see right there, it does look a little small right off the bat, guys, but I have some pictures that I need to show y'all about fish absolutely engulfing this bait and getting hooked perfectly fine. So one of the main reasons, like I was saying, that why I like to throw these smaller hooks, these short shank EWGs, is that it's bringing more attention to the bait. It's not as intrusive as one of those bigger hooks. You know, these hooks here on the original, you know, those original VMC hooks on these DTs, you know, they're much thicker. You have to set the hook a lot harder, in my opinion, when it comes to driving that hook into the fish's mouth. These short shank EWGs have very, very thin gauge wire, and you're gonna have to almost offset your crankbait rods just a little bit. You know, I'm still very comfortable throwing a pretty beefy medium rod. I'm not throwing just a wet spaghetti noodle. You can definitely do that. It will still get hooked. You know, the fish will get hooked with a wet spaghetti noodle rod. So don't get me wrong. But you know, throwing something like a heavy or a medium heavy fast action, you really need to start matching up and specifying down your rod and reel combos. Now, you know, the reel doesn't matter too much. Once they get hooked on these EWGs, guys, I have found that they really never come off. I've had maybe one fish ever jump me off on these EWG hooks, like ever. And I've been fishing these for quite a long time. One big thing as well, again, with the short shank, it's not taking up as much space on the bait, so it's gonna be very lower profile. And what's awesome too is as those fish open their mouth, they're creating like a vortex, and what's awesome about it is as the fish pulls this bait into its mouth, these hooks are going to move a lot easier through the water than the bigger, heavier hooks here. So, I mean, just imagine as you're going through, that fish is opening its mouth, these hooks can move around, they're gonna stay where they're at, and if they eat it head first, guys, those hooks are gonna stay out away from that fish. If that fish opens its mouth on these hooks move around a lot easier, much thinner gauge wire, and when you do get a hook point on them, guys, it's gonna drive into their skin immediately. You're not gonna have to actually set the hook and drive it in. They're gonna do most of the work for you. So that is one of the main reasons I absolutely love these shorter shank EWGs on my crankbaits. In the fall time, guys, I do lean a little bit more towards the owner. The spear hooks by BKK, they have a little bit more of a taper inwards than the owners. As you can see here, you see the BKK in front, it's pointed in quite a bit more than the owner hook. So when it comes down to specifically each season, guys, you know, if they are slapping at it super, super hard, I would go with the owners. If they're absolutely crushing it, they're moving fast, they're eating it, you know, the BKK is totally fine. They're both amazing hooks. And I just wanted to share with y'all one of my tips that I utilize all the time, all seasons when I do change out hooks. This is the way I like to go. I like to almost size them down one notch from what normally comes on them. I think these are like size 5s, I believe, on the DT8. And you know, I'm putting on size 8, so it's quite a big difference. They're still getting hooked totally fine. I'm throwing up some pictures here somewhere in the video of them absolutely engulfing these baits. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like on it, share it with friends, share it with some family. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and we've got some cool stuff coming for y'all in the coming months. You know, Christmas is right around the corner, so if you need to get anyone a gift, if they're into fishing, give them a gift card to Lake Pro Tackle, guys. We really appreciate seeing all the orders come in. You know, we're not a big team here. We do everything. One of the three of us packs your order, make sure it's sent out the door. We package everything awesome. The rods, we make sure they get to you all in one piece. So guys, thank you again so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Lake Pro Tackle. See you guys.